Oh, I wish it showed up better. That is one of the prettiest sunrises I've seen in a long time. In reality, I can barely make out the semi-truck sitting here. And of course, that red's not spilling over the top of the barn. See if we can do this. There. It gets rid of the extra for you. There's probably about 5 or 6 different colors of blues and reds and oranges in that. Obviously still overcast. It's still early. But hey, there's my Thursday morning wake up when I walk out of the shop after it's light enough to see. Things to do, you know. Maybe I'll show you what we're working on later. We'll see. Well, looking at the sunrise, you couldn't really tell much, but you can tell what the colors are doing up here. This is looking almost directly west. It's, once again, not near as light as what the camera shows, but the camera's showing the colors pretty decent. Okay, I'll get more of something what's going on later. The one toy I don't think I've shown off. We've had her for a few years. Got it when they were damn expensive, you know. Why buy anything when they're inexpensive? You go to Hobo Freight now and pick one up that'll do the same thing for probably $200 or $300. That one's rated to cut 3/8 clean and pierce 1/2 inch. And guess what? They look exactly like that one, except for the wheels, of course. That's all made here. But the one that cuts 1 inch clean looks exactly like it. Same housing, everything. One of the shops we deal with out north of town has one that does 1 inch. Starting to work on these wheels. I opted to use the plasma to cut this rather than the oxyacetylene because I'm getting kind of low on oxygen, and you know, I'm going to use a lot on this anyway, and it doesn't get near as hot. A little easier to work with. Don't have all the burnt paint to smell. However, any of you that have run a plasma, you know that there's other not so good stuff in the air when you're cutting. Made her all the way around. Is it a square cut? I don't know. I tried to hold the torch against the edge evenly. And I don't gotta listen to that thing run for a little bit. Show you how I had it. Tried to hold her like that so it was nice and even. Of course, with the stem guard in the way, I gotta go both directions. But no big deal. I only cut about 1 foot or so from the stem this way. The rest of it was going the other direction. First hit with the hammer, it shifted. Second hit with the hammer, it shifted a little more. I got her moving. I've hit it about a dozen times and it's still in here. And that happens. The bad thing with the plasma, well, even with the oxyacetylene, you can miss a little. But it is what it is. I'll beat on it a little more. And then figure out how to take what's left off there. It's welded solid on the other side at the end of the lip, and that's just not a real easy thing to hog out of there. Not without ruining the rim. If you get the center out of the way, then you can work it from both sides easier. And usually, a lot of rims, they're not all welded in because they're not a solid piece. Some of them are just spot welded, which is easy. We worked on a lot of spot weld ones. If they're spot welded, put it in the drill press and drill all the spot welds out. Found a piece of round stock and start cutting cookies and fill the holes and put a new center in, or move the center where it needs to be, depending on what it is. We did a lot of wheel work in the 80s. Kubota tractors were getting kind of popular around here, but all they put on was little skinny tires. And that doesn't work very well around here. They tend to sink. So a lot of guys would get one, and well, of course, you know, that wasn't an option to go a couple tire sizes up. Kubota didn't have anything to accommodate. And there was a outfit in Portland named after one of the rivers that goes through town. Not the one that starts with a C that everybody knows. It's the one that comes up through the valley. Happens to share the same name as the valley. It was that word and wheel. They made a lot for guys for spray rigs. And probably about half of what they made, they didn't, somewhere along the line, they didn't get them right. They either didn't get the center set in the right place, or the rim wasn't wide enough for the tires that were supposed to go on it. And tire outfit, we dealt with them. Of course, they dealt with all the farmers. They were the only ones that had a service truck to go out in the field and work on tires at the time. And we'd get a phone call and say, hey, this is what we got. Can you have it by next week? Like, well, bring it out. We'll see what we need. And I'd start cutting on stuff, and we'd figure what we needed. Dad would go to town and get bands made up so we could widen them, or we'd take 2 or 3 wheels and make one out of it. Did a lot of that work. There's actually, I got a couple rollers upstairs. I'm going to need one of them down here to work on these. When you start welding centers in, it's so much nicer if you can get them tacked in and then kick it up vertical and roll it as you go. But that's what I'm working on at the moment. Get this done before the rest of my day gets screwed up, which it's going to be. Going to be kind of like the last few days. Can't get anything done. But that's life in the fast lane. I'm going to go back to beating. You don't want to hear all the noise. I'll show you what it looks like when I get done beating on it. Hey, 9 good hits later. That hung up kind of where I thought it did. That double cut where I cut from one direction and the other. And kind of the same thing was going on where the stem guard was. There it is. They ain't the prettiest cuts. But I'm also kind of maxing out what the machine's made to do. So, it ain't too bad. Most of that, if you were going to clean that up and do something with it, most of that wouldn't be very much with a grinder. A couple minutes would be done. But you can see where my fun part comes. That weld right there. And, yeah, I can see it. I don't know if you can. Get my finger, that line right there off the end of my finger. That is where that weld is. So, it's a good weld. It's permeated pretty well through it. Which just means it's a little harder to get off. Ideally, if I had like a bandsaw or something, I could get cut into that and do it. But can't really get in there with a cutoff wheel. I mean, you can, but probably waste a full wheel about every 2 or 3 inches, if that, time you get cut through it. So we'll see. It may come off there with the acetylene, but say at least I got a place I can run it, blow it out to, and try not to gouge the hell out of the wheel. It's always the fun part. I never did like ones where they were welded in, like this anyway. Spot welds are a lot easier to contend with. Alright, I'll show you some more later. Some of the fun parts about a plasma. The consumables. That's the actual tip. It happens. What you really can't see, I don't think. Well, yeah, you can see a little. That's kind of arched in the inside. That other end, I'm sure, is really funny looking if you can see it. And I dropped it. That's all right. Here's a piece that goes inside that. This goes right in the end of it. And see the nice swirl on the end? That's not supposed to be there. That's what happens when they finally get wore out. I think what causes the swirl is the electricity across the end between the 2 pieces and the airflow. The air flows down through these channels. At least I think that's where it goes. It's got to go somewhere in there to make it out the little hole in the middle. And I'm running low. There's what a brand new one looks like. Nice, smooth on the end, and I don't know what the insert piece is, if it's a little hard piece of steel or what, because I'm assuming the air actually, come on. The air's pretty much got to go through the middle of there and come out that end. All I know is they work pretty good. And yeah, I got 2 of each left. You can change those one at a time, but I don't. One's wore out, the other's wore out. So I'm trying to gouge the weld out. It's kind of working. I knew I had trouble as soon as I started working on this, because the electricity part wanted to come and go, like it was pulsing. And that's usually when the tip gets screwed up. So I'm hoping I got through enough weld. I know I got it hot enough on the outside. Biggest thing is that I don't go through the outside. So little bits and pieces, because this is so time consuming that I ain't putting a 5-hour video up to watch it. It better not take me that long, but you get the idea. Sorry you keep looking at the floor, but I'm picking up the pieces I'm dropping. They got to go outside in the scrap barrel. So there it is for now. Guess what? I changed my mind on the plasma. I don't know how well it was piercing through where it needed to. And it was really slow and trying to foul the tip up. So I switched over to the oxyacetylene. Actually went a lot quicker. Only issue is, obviously gets it a lot hotter. And there's spots like right there. A couple of spots I got it a little hot to the wheel side, but it's kind of hard not to. That just means clean it up, weld it up. Nobody will know it when it's done. Tried melting through there to get enough so I get some sections out. So I think the next step is I'm going to flip her over and see if a chisel will do something. I'm hoping it will. I'm hoping I got enough of it cut. Then the fun part, there's a lot of cleaning up. That's why I didn't want to have to use the oxyacetylene. But that's the way it is. I say, I used to do a lot of this stuff, but I spent a long time ago. I was a lot younger and stupider then. I could sit here in a set of leathers all day long and sweat my ass off, and it wasn't any brighter, eh? Yeah, I think number one says it's too hot in here now too, which it is after just cherrying that up. So anyway, I'm gonna have some fun. You don't want to watch me beat on it. It's gonna kill my ears bad enough. Yesterday's fun. That was an old 3-prong dryer plug straight into the wall. Now it's a 4-prong. Had to use the old cover to make it work. It's the only thing we can get on short notice. But hey, new washer and dryer sitting here. Yay! I just got to level the washing machine up. Then that's done. Just a little stuff today. New control came for that. I did not knock out a crossover wire in there that it said you should for low voltage, because it's like, if I do, how the hell does both sides work? I don't get it. But hey, it's sitting here without the fans running at the moment because it has a controller that works. So if I bump it up, hey, it'll come on. And it'll run up to temperature, fans will come on, and it doesn't smell like it's going to burn the whole shop down. Here's the old one. Still don't know. Well, actually, I think I kind of figured it out. The way they're supposed to work, it concentric runs on that plastic piece, and then the plastic piece tweaks, and it's got a couple little springs in there, so there's a spring plate that flicks back and forth to make the contact or break the contact, and it was working on the one side, just not on the other. So yeah, and I didn't get too much farther on the wheel. I got some broke out. I got about a third of it completely gone, and that hanging there. Yeah. Just not quite as good at melting the stuff out of the way that I used to be, you know. I mean, once I got it started, it's going, but there's a lot of beating. My shoulder and my neck told me I was done beating today, so work on the other stuff. Part of this I went through with plasma first, and it just didn't want to go clear through the weld. I couldn't hit it right to get through the weld, I guess I should say. Get in a lot closer with the oxyacetylene torch. And so part of it with the oxyacetylene, I was trying to go over what I had already done with the plasma, so it was already slacked up. And with nowhere to blow it out to, it just looks like crap. But I'll get it. I'm going to do the other one a little bit differently. I hope I got enough oxygen left to finish this wheel, and then I'll have to go to town and get another tank tomorrow. But with that one, hey, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Everybody tells me it's free. I haven't paid nothing for anything, so. And hopefully the next time you get to see these wheels, they'll be going back together. That's what I hope. But for now, that's what you get. Thanks for watching, everybody.